Hey guys, it's Athena. Welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to just do a sit down, chit chat, get ready with me, and I hope you guys enjoy. It's like 2:56 in the afternoon right now, so early afternoon. It's the best time to record so that I get the best quality of like lighting and stuff like that for my videos, and so that it's not like super grainy. That's when this is like when I typically, the best lighting is probably from like 4, well, you want to get it before sunset, so maybe like 3:30 is the best time to start, but that's okay. I'm gonna go to the coffee shop today and study and do homework. I have homework for my art class. We have like a debate. Well, it's really art history. It's not really an art class. It's more of a art history. And so it's more of a history class than anything. Which, my mistake. I originally thought that, excuse me, that art history was going to be first art, then history, but it's more history than art, so if that makes sense. But I'm not, I put on some, I think I used lotion today when I got out of the shower. It's either the Equate, I believe is the generic brand that we get. It's the Equate SPF lotion, so I just used that on my skin earlier to just keep it hydrated. And I don't have a primer right now that I like using, so I'm just going to go in with my foundation stick. And so for today's topic, and I'm sure I'll just go on like, you know, my crazy tangents and stuff, but I wanted to talk about sort of the movies that have really changed my life and have like deeply impacted me, and you know, just talk about those movies and sort of like the themes and messages and all that kind of stuff, sort of why they're so significant to me. Because like I've said before, I'm a really huge movie lover. Like, I absolutely adore movies, and I think that they're really, really important in our lives, and trying to understand like life and earth and time and everything. Like it's very important to have movies. And so first, starting off my list, I wanted to start with a director that I really love, who has made 3 films, 3 works of film that I absolutely adore, and that is Darren Aronofsky. He has directed, I call it Requiem, but I think it's Requiem. Requiem for a Dream, but I call it Requiem for a Dream. Black Swan, and Mother, and I believe he has other projects that he's worked on as well. But those are the movies that I know him by, and all 3 of those movies are just masterpieces, like absolutely amazing, amazing works of art that will just stand the test of time, I think, and are just really, really phenomenal. So starting with Requiem for a Dream, that has Jennifer Connelly and Jared Leto and a bunch of other people, but those are the, and who is the woman who plays the girl that is obsessed with the red dress and wants to be on TV? Oh, I'm trying to think. She's a very famous Helen, or is it Ellen Burstyn? I think it's Ellen Burstyn. So she's in that movie as well. And it sort of is an account for these 3 characters intertwining. And there's another character, one of the Wayans brothers. He's in it as well. And there's a lot of well-known people in this movie. But just from what I remember, like most vividly, it's mostly about those 3 and the Wayans brother guy. And it just sort of chronicles like their sort of turbulent experience of life, and like Jennifer Connelly and Jared Leto are both addicted to drugs, and they have a very strong addiction, and he starts dealing drugs, and I believe he ends up getting caught along with the Wayans guy. Or I think the Wayans guy gets caught and gets sent to prison. And Jared Leto doesn't get sent to prison, but he sort of spirals off in his own, like, addiction and everything, and it, like, consumes him, and Jennifer Connelly starts to, basically be an escort, and sell her body to, these really, really awful men, like, just terrible men. I mean, the men in this movie are just so bad. There was, I think one of them was like a therapist or like a psychiatrist or something, and like there's a scene on YouTube of them going on a date, and I think it's called like I Have a Favor to Ask or something like that. And just even the way that he eats his food and is just very like aggressive and like just really gross, like a really gross person. And yeah, all the men that she sort of like encounters, and like she just gets lost in like this really, really bad, like unfortunate like career that like really takes over her, and like, you know, is really damaging to her psychologically and physically, and it supports her addiction. She is still heavily addicted to drugs, and the ending of the movie is like everyone's different sort of fate within their, you know, trials and tribulations, and she's still addicted. Jared Leto gets his arm amputated. I thought at first he died, because a lot of times there's some movies that are just a little bit too intense for me, so I just watch clips of the movies, and I sort of piece together the movie, and because Darren Aronofsky's movies really hit you hard. Like, this is a director that really just integrates such deep, dark, explicit, graphic humanity themes within his movies that are very difficult to digest, and definitely are not for faint of heart viewers. Like, they're very intense films. And Ellen Burstyn's character specifically, I think that she just did such an amazing job in that film, and sort of like her downward spiral. She starts taking this medication for weight loss, and then she has this really deep, dark spiral into like just, she has like a breakdown, and it sort of manifests within all of her obsessions and desires for wanting to be on TV and to be beautiful and to be, you know, like happy with her son, and like just her dream, basically her biggest dream, becomes this living nightmare for her, and it just really haunts and terrifies her, and like also becomes more obstructed and abstracted as she loses her mind and loses her grip on her sanity. And I believe that this is started by her taking this weight loss medication. That's what initially starts this downward spiral. So that is a really amazing movie. The visuals are, like, Darren Aronofsky is such an artist when it comes to cinematography. I don't know, I'm sure, and it's not just him that's an artist, obviously the whole team that he works with that is a part of the movies and everything are just as much artists and visionaries as him. So his team and him are just really incredible with the cinematography aspect. It's just like liquid, living art, like just living, breathing, seeing, experiencing art, and it's really amazing. And so, second movie that really like opened my eyes to a new like world and was very impactful was Black Swan with Natalie Portman and Vincent Cassel. And that movie is basically the story of this very fragile, I feel like fragile is a bad word to describe Nina's character, but basically there's this ballerina named Nina, and she's sort of kept in this like very childlike world that doesn't embrace any of the, you know, figuring yourself out part of life. Like she's sort of stuck in like a 14-year-old's mentality and room and sort of lifestyle, and she lives very enmeshed with her mother, and she's not comfortable within her abilities and her body and all this stuff, and she isn't like sexually explored or comfortable in her body for a large part of the film. And it just really, she struggles with paranoid schizophrenia and bulimia, but as well as anorexia. So just a eating disorder overall. Um, and it's a really powerful movie, and sort of how she becomes obsessed with this role of embodying the white and the black swan, um, in order to give this like transcending performance, and she embodies everything of the white swan, like delicate, fragile, fearful, as Tomas, the dancing teacher, says. And so she really embodies all of these things, like insecurity, you know, just very, very delicate type of, you know, character. And then the black swan is very, like, has a vengeance and a fire to her, and has, like, the dark complexity of, like, it's sort of, like, mirroring, like, you know, I guess innocence mixed with the freedom of not having innocence. It's sort of like innocence is you being caged, and the freedom of not being innocent anymore and exploring real life. You just go with the flow of the ups and the downs and all of that. So it's sort of her experiencing the dark side, per se, of just, you know, exploring outside of this like cage and this bubble that she's been placed in. And yeah, it's a really amazing movie. Again, the cinematography is just so captivating and so beautiful and amazing. I really, really love her performance in that movie. The costume design is incredible. I love the like ballet outfits that she wears, not even as performance outfits, but as everyday clothing that she wears when she's going in between rehearsals and ballet. She just has these very like beautiful color palettes that start with like whites and pinks and blushes and a little bit of sparkle, and there are a lot of layering, like beautiful layering of the clothing, just such a beautiful style. And then it's sort of as she goes through her transition of to the dark side out of her cage, she starts to wear like grays and blacks, and it's sort of mirroring this like darkness that's like sort of growing, and it's just really amazing, really, really amazing. I love that one. And then most recently that I've seen is Mother, which has Jennifer, what's her name? I always forget her name for some reason. Why can't I remember? It always slips me for some reason. But it's Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence, that's who it is. Jennifer Lawrence, and I forget the guy's name that's in it, but he's so handsome and beautiful. Oh my gosh. And so basically it's chronicling her character. So basically it chronicles her and her husband's character, and he represents like this very selfish, narcissistic God type. And I guess he is God, like subjectively in the movie, and so he needs everyone to worship him and all this kind of stuff, and like their constant worship and everything, and to always be like praised in the center of attention to like really thrive. And Jennifer Lawrence represents Mother Nature, and she doesn't need that at all. All she needs is her husband, and she just wants to enjoy him and to have a family, and you know, she doesn't need everyone's approval. She can be successful and content without other people's approval. And basically it is, it embodies the way that humanity treats Mother Nature, in that we are very cruel to her and that we just take and take and take. And that's something that is a huge theme in the movie. Jennifer Lawrence's character just gives and gives and gives, and no one listens to her. She sacrifices so much of herself. She gives her husband all of her love, and it's not enough for him. Like, it's just never, never enough. And all the people, the house, I was watching a review, so I can't take credit for my ideas on the film, but the house and her are basically one, and the way that the people treat her house is like they're destroying things, they're like reconstructing, they're breaking things down, and then the fever dream scene is like just this mass hysteria that is going on in the world, basically all taking place within her house, and she's like, what is going on? And like, there's like a club, there's like girls trapped in like some type of sex trafficking cage, and then there's like a SWAT team, and then there's people being murdered and executed, and like just the police, and like all these hordes of people and riots and basically everything that's happening in our world that's like chaotic and destructive, and just like this super hyper just crazy psychoanalysis of everything in the world all happening in this house. And so it's just a really, really powerful scene, the fever dream scene. And Michelle Pfeiffer and I forget the guy's name. I have a hard time with male actor names. I'm not as up to par with their names. But they sort of represent Adam and Eve in the house, and they're the first to come into her house. And again, I can't take credit for coming up with that on my own. It's sort of like I watched an analysis video, and that's where I'm getting a lot of my information from. And some of it, obviously, like I had my own thoughts and stuff, but definitely he really like summed up a lot of the ideas and stuff. And he really hit everything on the nail when it comes to what exactly the movie represents and embodies. And so, I mean, it's just such a, like, profound movie, and it's so interesting, and I don't know, I just really, really loved it. Like, I genuinely am so affected by it, and I think about it every day, and I'm always watching. My favorite scenes are the creation scene, and that scene is where her and her husband, they talk about wanting a family, and he talks about wanting a family, but they're never intimate. And so then she tells him this, and then he's sort of in like a act of like passion, like, tries to like make love with her and everything. And she's like, he finally is like giving something to her, and she's receiving something that makes her feel pleasure and, connected to her husband, and like he's giving her something back. And then that small moment of her getting something in return is completely gone. And she's like, I'm pregnant. And then he uses her pregnancy as an inspiration to write this work that he does. And that is what sets off the huge mass cult following of him, and the praise and the overnight sensation that happens. And it's basically the start of the downward spiral. So, I just thought that it's just such a powerful, interesting narrative on so many different things. And I just absolutely adore that movie. So next on my list, I'm sort of like kind of racking my brain to think of like which movies. There are so many movies, so many movies that I find to be so powerful and so moving. But I would also like to talk about Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind with Jim Carrey and what's her name? She is in Titanic, and her name is Kate Winslet. Yes, Kate Winslet. That movie is so fascinating and just so interesting, and it talks about sort of like, can we really erase, past experiences and loves and things like that and be okay with it, and like what are the harms of that, and it just sort of literally jumps in the brain of someone who goes under the procedure to have their mind wiped of this person, being Jim Carrey wanting to forget about Kate Winslet's character and their relationship. And it's such a fascinating exploration of, human relationships and intimacy and love and connection. And it's very powerful. It also has Kirsten Dunst in it. It also has, oh my goodness, there's the movie, what is his name? I think is it Jason something? I can't remember his name, but he's in another movie that really hit me hard. Justin Long, that's who it is. Justin Long is in this movie as well, I believe. I'm pretty sure that he's in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And anyway, so this movie is like just phenomenal. I mean, it is analyzing this couple's relationship, how they meet, sort of their dynamics, what they struggle with in their relationship, what their struggles, insecurities are as people, and it's just delves into this and really sort of gives a look at the ups and the downs and the human side of relationships and love, and what it means to be in love and to stay in love. And it's just a really fantastic movie. Again, visually stunning, a very creative, very innovative movie. And I believe that the director of that also did the movie Being John Malkovich. I saw that movie as a kid, and I don't remember a lot of it. But I love Kate Winslet's hair changes throughout the film as well. She has like blue hair, red hair, orange hair, you name it. And I love her character. She's like a very free spirit, very artistic, very open, honest, raw person, and very emotive. And Jim Carrey's character is sort of like, he's a little bit more reserved, kind of doesn't really share how he feels, kind of is a little blah, a little mundane, but he really loves and works well with Clementine, the Kate Winslet's character, and they are like a good match together, even though I think every couple has, their flaws and their differences, but I think that they are a very interesting couple nonetheless, and it's very interesting and beautiful to see that sort of explored in that film. Next movie on my list, in continuing with the idea of romance, is Serendipity with John Cusack and it's Kate something. Kate. Oh my gosh, what's her name? I can't remember. Kate Beckinsale, that's what it is. Kate Beckinsale is in that movie as well. And basically it is about these two people's chance encounter with one another and how they serendipitously come together again, and there's the hotel scene where they're like, okay, this is really crazy, and if we're meant to be, we're going to end up on the same floor. We're going to go into two separate elevators, pick a floor number, and if we end up on the same floor, we're meant to be together. And so they do that, and I think John Cusack's character is like, no, we don't even have to do that. We've already been brought together by fate. Like, this is meant to be. But Kate Beckinsale's character wants this to prove it to her, basically. And so they actually end up pressing the same floor number, but then sort of these things get in the way. I think that someone presses the button and gets on John Cusack's elevator, and it causes him to be delayed, and then she thinks that he doesn't go to that level or whatever, and then she's just waiting there by herself, and then she thinks that it wasn't meant to be, and so she leaves, and then when she leaves, he's there. So it's very this like Romeo Juliet like kind of narrative idea. And so basically the movie is like all these chain of events trying to work so that they can get back in the same place together, and all of it is like the serendipity of life and of occurrence and sort of like fate bringing two people together. And there's this ice skating rink that's like kind of magical, and it has these really beautiful stars in the background, and they're there in the beginning of the movie and they're there in the end of the movie as well. And that ice skating rink is just so special and magical in bringing them together, and I really love that. It's just very, very beautiful. Also, that sort of ties in with Splash. The ice skating scene, the ice skating rink isn't necessarily, sorry about that, my camera cut off. So the ice skating scene isn't necessarily a positive scene in Splash. However, there's something really beautiful about ice skating and very romantic and just so lovely to me, and the idea of these characters being at an ice skating rink together is just really wonderful. And like I would love to experience that and go to an ice skating rink, like preferably an outdoor one. Both of them occur in outdoors in both movies, in both Splash and Serendipity, and to experience that with someone that I love, and like to just skate around and fall down together. And you know, it would be great if there weren't a lot of people there, but I mean, I don't think that that's really possible in our huge overcrowded world. But yeah, that would just be something like really beautiful and special, and like I just think that that theme in the movie is just so magical. Like there's something, they sort of hint in Serendipity that there's something magical about the ice skating rink. At least that's what I pulled from it. But it's never really blatantly stated. So, let's see, what's another really great movie? I know it just kind of popped in my mind for some reason, but the Unfortunate Series of Events, the Lemony Snicket movie, I tried reading the books as a kid. I did read quite a few of them. I think I jumped out of order. I read like one, and then I read like, I think I tried reading number 2. I don't think I ever got to number 3, but then I went to like 4, 5, and 6, and then I read like 11, and then I tried reading 12. I got through a lot of 12, and then I never read the last book. But I really love the movie with Jim Carrey, Emily Browning, and I forget the other 2 characters' name, but Meryl Streep is also in it, and she plays Aunt Josephine, who I love. She's amazing. And so that movie was really sort of a series of unfortunate events is very interesting to me, because it was sort of the first time I was exposed to a negative narrative as a child. That's not something that, of course, in children's books, I'm trying to sound all like children's literature. In children's books, let's be real, girl. In children's books, it's not common to have themes that are dark and heavy and sort of like the real life things that happen, like abusive, manipulative people, different disorders like OCD being brought out in Aunt Josephine, and just all types of really interesting, bizarre, very real characters in a storybook for children. And I think that the movie did a really great job of encapsulating the first 3 books, and it just is so uncomfortable to watch as a child. Like, I always wanted them to have like the happy ending that they deserved, and the movie sort of leaves on somewhat of a positive note. From what I remember, the Count Olaf tries to marry Violet, and uses I guess Justice of the Peace or something like that. That's her name, or Justice Strauss is her name, and it sort of gets like foiled, and she doesn't have to end up marrying him, which is like amazing, fantastic. But that movie just was so interesting to me, and I loved the way that they sort of solved all of life's really crazy problems that got thrown their way. Like, they were always in the face of adversity, but they always found some type of way to get out of it or sort of make the best of the situation. Like, before their parents had died in the fire, they like made that, or I think it was after their parents had died in the fire, they made like the fort, and they used like the little pictures of their parents to like be over, like a shadow over their little like tent fort thing. And just the way that they get through Count Olaf's like crazy like entrapment, like Rube Goldberg torture setups, is just like really brilliant and amazing. And I love the scene where they make the pasta puttanesca, I think it was, and they like mix it in the spittoon, and like he's like, "Where's the roast beef?" And they're like, "We didn't make roast beef, we made pasta puttanesca." And it's just so funny. And I mean, Count Olaf is like really scary, like legit terrifying, really scary person. So I really loved that movie. I love the part at Aunt Josephine's house, and sort of the lore behind what their parents weren't in. Like, it wasn't a cult, but it was sort of like this underground, because cult has a very like negative connotation. They were sort of like, from what I got from the book, they were sort of like these, not detectives, but these special people that investigated certain things, and they sort of questioned society, and like they were sort of like an underground, I don't know, I almost want to say like agency, like of people. And it's very interesting. And in the later books, you come to sort of understand bits and pieces of the organization that their family were in, and that movie doesn't really touch on it, but still very, very fascinating. It does touch on it a little bit. So that movie was just really, really amazing. I loved that. And since I started talking about Emily Browning, one of the movies that really impacted me that has actually her in it, her character's name is Baby Doll, is Sucker Punch. And that is just such a phenomenal movie. I believe it came out in 2011. And basically it chronicles this girl, Baby Doll, who her mother gets killed by her evil stepfather, and she tries to kill him, but in an act of self-defense, she accidentally shoots her sister. He tries to abuse them physically, sexually, and so in self-defense she tries to kill him, and she accidentally shoots her sister, and so she gets sent, like, basically that just sends her, like, and this all happens at the beginning of the movie, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, for something like that to happen, like, you think that she's gonna, like, get justice, and then it just goes the complete other way. And it's a very fascinating, very stylized, artistic film, very beautiful CGI, beautiful costumes, beautiful makeup. I mean, just amazing. If I could pull off some of those outfits that Baby Doll wears, like, oh my gosh, I think my favorite outfits are the one where she does her first time performing for the Gentlemen's Club, and she has sort of like this bustier, like I think it's like a white gold bustier, and then like an orange, like tangerine leotard with like, what is it, stockings, and it's just really simple but very beautiful. And then the outfit she wears at the end of the movie, it's like this super glittery, like sailor 1940s pinup outfit, but the gems are what like really catch my eye, and they put like gems on her eyelashes, and the makeup is just so stunning, like amazing. And so there's all these just really amazing factors in this movie, like the storyline, the characters. I love all the girls. I love the villains. I love the dance teacher. I love all these different types of archetypes and character analyses that are portrayed in the movie. It's just very powerful, and it sort of talks a lot about overcoming darkness and abuse and life's trials and tribulations and overcoming sort of like bad people and just sort of all these different things and finding the keys within yourself to survive and that you have all the tools you need to fight in life and to be a warrior and just all this stuff. So really, really amazing, amazing film. And yeah, I absolutely love Sucker Punch, so. But I have been talking and talking and talking, so my throat is like dead at this point. So I'm just going to finish up with my lip liner, and I will be right back to finish out the video. Okay guys, so this is the completed look. I'll give you guys a close-up of my makeup. And I just did mascara, no eyeshadow for today. And I just outlined my lips. I'm really inspired by the Bratz dolls, how they have like the dark lip liner and then the lighter lipstick in the middle. So I was inspired by that. And I think I'm gonna also go in with a the light lip gloss that I have from 7-Eleven that I really love, and just sort of tone the lipstick down a little bit, and that'll also help to give it that like Bratz effect with the lightening the lipstick color. So thank you so much for watching this. If you want, please leave your favorite movies, movies that changed you, movies that opened your mind, movies that made you fall in love with life, fall in love with characters, anything, your favorite movies. Please leave them down below. I would love to talk to you guys about that. I think that'd be really awesome. Thank you so much for watching. And my brother wanted me to give a shout out to Omar, and Omar is one of his friends from school, and then also I think his name is Nick and Omar, so shout out to both of you. Hi. I think it's so cute my brother wants me to do like little shout outs of his friends. I absolutely love that. Like, that makes me so happy. So anyways, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video, okay? So just keep fighting. You have all the tools you need. Now fight. Okay, bye.